Hi there. In this video, I want to talk about adding rational expressions. Now, remember that a rational expression is simply just, the root word in that is ratio, which means a fraction. Okay, so we're going to be adding fractions, but they're going to contain algebraic expressions within those. All right, and that's what we call a rational expression. Now, before we do that, I want to talk about just simply adding fractions. So I've got three different examples here. And in order to do this, adding fractions, you must have a common denominator, all right? The denominator is what's on the bottom, okay? So if I look at my first example of 1/7 plus 2/7, notice that I have a common denominator of 7. All I do is simply just add my numerators together. So my next step would be 1 plus 2 over 7, and that's going to give me 3/7, and that's it. Okay. If I look at the second equation or second set of fractions, I've got 1/2 plus 1/4. Now, on this, what I realize is that I don't have a common denominator. However, I can manipulate this fraction to get a common denominator over here. So my common denominator in an example like this is going to be 4. All right. And the way I do that and think about that is I want to be able to think, what can I multiply 2 by to get 4? And that answer is 2. Now remember, I have to do the top and bottom when I do this. So I get 2 times 1 is 2, over 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1/4. Now, what I've done is I've manipulated this expression here to get this one here. And they have a common denominator, so I just add my numerators. 2 plus 1 all over 4, and then that's going to give me 3 over 4. All right, and that's my answer. Now over here, I've got 1/4, 1/3, and 1/4. And so when I look at something like this, I realize that, all right, I have a 3 and a 4. Now I can't multiply 3 by anything to give me 4. All right, so what I want to do then is simply just multiply by the opposite denominator. So if I'm taking this fraction, I want to multiply the top and bottom by my opposite denominator, which is 4. So I'm going to multiply by 4 over 4. All right, and then over here, I'm going to multiply by the opposite denominator, which is 3, and this is going to be 3 over 3. So I've got 4 times 1, which is 4. 4 times 3 here is 12. All right, plus then 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. And then I add those together, and I do 4 plus 3 all over a common denominator of 12, because that's what I have here, a common denominator. And that's going to give me 7/12. Okay, and that's my answer. All right, so let's jump over to a problem, and this is number 47 out of the book that we were using. And so what I want to do is, I think it says simplify, but basically if you are being asked to simplify this, it means to combine these two and just add them together and get one fraction. So what I want to do is I'm going to rewrite this because I have the number 4 plus x minus 3 times over x plus 1. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 4 over 1 plus x minus 3 over x plus 1. Now what I want to look at is I have a denominator of 1 here, and I have a denominator of x plus 1. Now, what I want to do is think about, well, what is my common denominator going to be? And in this case, it's going to be x plus 1. All right, and the reason why that's the case is because I just have a 1 here. So if I multiply this fraction here by x plus 1 over x plus 1, all right, then what I'm going to get is and let's do this real quick. And when we multiply fractions, I'm multiplying 4 by this quantity. So I've got 4 times x plus 1 over 1 times x plus 1, which is just x plus 1. All right, plus x minus 3 over x plus 1. Now notice that I have a common denominator here now. So what I want to do now is distribute my 4 here so that we can combine our fractions and get a single fraction out of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to distribute my 4, and that's going to give us 4x plus 4 over x plus 1 plus x minus 3 over x plus 1. Now that I have a common denominator, I've simplified this numerator, I want to then write this all as one fraction. So I'm going to write 4x plus 4 plus x minus 3 all over the common denominator of x plus 1. From here, all right, we can combine our like terms. And so I'm going to add together the 4x and the x, and that's going to give us 5x. I'm going to add the 4 plus negative 3, which is going to give us 1. So I have 5x plus 1 over x plus 1, and that is my simplified answer, okay? So understand something, that this initial problem here is the same thing as this, okay? It's just that what I wanted to do is combine these and add them together to get one fraction or one rational expression. Okay, on this problem is a little bit tricky, okay, not gonna lie. What I want to do here is think about what my common denominator is going to be. Now, before I do anything, what I want to do is I want to factor anything that I can. Okay, so let's rewrite this. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is write 2y minus 6. All right, so I'm going to do 2y minus 6 over y squared minus 9. Now I can factor this. All right, this is difference of squares. So this is going to factor to y plus 3 times y minus 3. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I can't factor anything here, and that's okay. But I'm going to do y over y minus 1 plus y squared plus 2. I can't factor anything out of that, so I'm just going to write out y squared plus 2 over, and then I want to factor this trinomial here. So this is going to factor to y plus 3 times y minus 1. All right, and if you need to use the box method for this or whatever you do, but that's the idea, is you want to be able to factor whatever you can, okay? Now, once I've factored everything, what I want to figure out is what's my common denominator, and I'm going to call that CD, all right? What's that value? And so I want to think about all the different factors that I have, okay? I've got a y plus 3 factor here. I've got a y minus 3 factor. So I'm going to write that over here, y minus 3. And then the other factor that I notice that I have is a y minus 1, okay? So y minus 1. So when I look at that, I basically just take all of the factors that I have and I write out all of the factors. And that's how I get my common denominator, all right? This is what I'm trying to get. So once I do that, and notice something. Notice how like y plus 3 exists in these two terms, okay? So I'm just going to put it once, all right? Y minus 1 exists in these two terms. So I'm just going to put it once. And even though y minus 3 was the only one that popped up once, it's still just going to go there, all right? So I have to figure out what are all my different factors. If they repeat, that's okay. I'm just going to put it once, all right? So this is my common denominator. Now, what I want to do is manipulate this and write out, I'm going to multiply this fraction by what it's missing. I have a y plus 3 and a y minus 3. What this doesn't have is it doesn't have a y minus 1. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to write that out. So I've got a y minus 1 factor, y minus 1 over y minus 1. And I'm going to multiply that by what I already have. And that's going to be 2y minus 6 over y plus 3 times y minus 3. Minus, okay? So now once I multiply this out, it's going to have that common denominator of what I'm looking for. Now this one, y over y minus 1, that does not contain the y plus 3 factor or the y minus 3 factor. So I want to multiply that up here, all right? So I'm going to multiply through and do y plus 3 times y minus 3 over itself, y plus 3 times y minus 3, and then multiply that by y over y minus 1, okay? Now, this last factor, the only thing that's missing here is my y minus 3 factor, okay? And so I want to multiply top and bottom by y minus 3. So let's put a plus sign here. And we're going to do y minus 3 over y minus 3. And we're going to multiply that by y squared plus 2 over y plus 3 times y minus 1. Now, what you notice here, and I'm writing a lot, okay? Notice, and this is pretty heavy on what we're doing here. But notice that all I'm trying to do is to get my common denominator. Y minus 1, y plus 3, y minus 3. Y minus 1, y plus 3, y minus 3. Y minus 1, y plus 3, y minus 3. Okay? That's all you're trying to do. All right, figure out what your common denominator is, figure out what each of those is missing, which of those factors are missing, and then you multiply by that, okay? Now, the tricky part is, at this point, is that I'm going to multiply through my numerators, but I'm not going to multiply through my denominators. I'm going to keep my denominators the way that it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and distribute or FOIL, however you want to do that, what we've got here. So I've got y times 2y, which gives us 2y squared. I've got negative 1 times 2y, so that's minus 2y. I've got negative 6 times y, so minus 6y. And then I've got 1 times negative 6, which is positive 6, okay? And so from there, I'm going to put that over my common denominator, which is y minus 1, y plus 3, y minus 3, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is a little tricky, but I'm going to put my minus sign here, okay? Remember when we subtract rational expressions, we're going to have to distribute our negative sign. I'm going to do that later. All right, now when I multiply y plus 3 times y minus 3, I get y squared plus 3y minus 3y minus 9, and then we wanted to multiply all that by 9, or by y, okay? So I'm going to multiply this by y. All right, so even though I'm foiling this out, I want to do that. Now I'm going to put this all over my common denominator of y plus 3 times y minus 3, and then times y minus 1, okay? Now let's do the next one, okay? This one doesn't involve that many steps, so I'm going to do y times y squared, which is y cubed. I have negative 3y times 2, which is plus 2y. I'm going to do negative 3 times y squared, so negative 3y squared, so minus 3y squared. And then negative 3 times positive 2 is minus 6. That's going to go over my common denominator of y minus 3, y plus 3, and y minus 1. Okay, so what the goal is that we want to be, it's the same thing as the last one, it's just we got a lot more stuff going on. The next thing I want to do here, let's just write down what we have, all right? So let's combine our like terms. I've got 2y squared minus 8y plus 6 over my common denominator of y minus 1, y plus 3, y minus 3, minus. Let's distribute our y here. So I'm going to get y cubed. This part in the middle is going to cancel out. So I'm going to get y cubed minus 9y over y plus 3, y minus 3, y minus 1. Okay. From there, I don't think I have any like terms over here, so I'm just going to do y cubed plus minus 3y squared plus 2y minus 6 all over my common denominator of y minus 3, y plus 3, and then y minus 1. Okay, now, once I've done that, I can start combining these. All right, so let's write this all out as one fraction. So I'm going to do, and I can do that because I have a common denominator. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 2y squared minus 8y plus 6. Once I have this, where I subtract this, I'm really subtracting a quantity here. And it's like I have a minus negative 1 on the outside. I need to distribute this negative. So what I end up getting here is I get minus y cubed plus 9y. Okay, that's something that people will screw up on, all right, at some point in this. That's a tricky thing. Next thing I want to do is do a plus y cubed minus 3y squared plus 2y minus 6 all over my common denominator, which is y plus 3, y minus 3, y minus 1. From here, all right, look and see, because we're going to have some things that go away, all right? So notice what's going to go away here. My y cubed, I have a negative y cubed and a positive y cubed. That's going to add to 0. I have positive 6 and negative 6. Those are going to add to 0. Everything else is going to kind of just be there. All right, let's take a look and see what we got. From here, I've got 2y squared minus 3y squared. So that's going to give us a negative y squared. Okay, I have negative 8y plus 9y, so that's going to be 1y plus 2y. So that's going to be plus 3y, and that's it. Then you've got y plus 3 times y minus 3 times y minus 1. Now, at this point, you have to figure out, well, I could factor out a negative y here. All right, and if I factor out a negative y, then you're left with y minus 3 over y plus 3 times y minus 3 times y minus 1. And what you can notice here is that the factor of y minus 3 can divide out. And then you're left with negative y over y plus 3 times y minus 1. And that is my simplified answer. This problem is hard, okay? I'm not going to lie. But what you want to do is when you're going through these problems, think about it. What am I doing from this step to this step? What am I doing from this step to this step? This step to this step. And when you're going through like the solutions online or anything like that, when you go through this, you should be able to say, what did I do to get from one step to the next? Okay, and that's really important. All right. So yeah, this one was not, these are fun for me, but for other students, they're not as fun. But once you understand it, then they're pretty cool. All right, next problem. Okay, so this one, it says simplify and state the domain restrictions. All right, so what I want to do, let's first rewrite this. And the only difference here is that I'm dealing with a function. All right, I'm calling this a rational function, and all I want to do is add these terms together. So I need a common denominator, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to write f of x is equal to 2 over 1 plus x over x plus 2 minus 8 over x plus 2 times x minus 2. Now, all I did there was I factored this. X squared minus 4 factors to x plus 2, x minus 2. All right? So my common denominator in this case, if you look at all the things you've got a 1, an x plus 2, and then here you've got x plus 2 times x minus 2. This is my common denominator. All right? So I'm going to write that out, that my CD, my common denominator, is going to be x plus 2 times x minus 2. Okay? And so what I want to do is turn each of these denominators into my common denominator. Now, on this term, I'm only missing the x minus 2. So I'm going to multiply this by x minus 2 over x minus 2. All right, I'm going to put this as a group. And then this one, I need x, let me change colors. I've got x minus 2 times x plus 2. I've got x minus 2, x plus 2, okay? So from here, what I want to write out is multiply everything out. So I've got f of x is equal to 2 times x minus 2 times x plus 2 over x minus 2 times x plus 2. Here I've got plus x times x minus 2 over x plus 2 times x minus 2. And then here I've got minus 8 over x plus 2, x minus 2. All right, so at this point what I can do is now that I have all these terms with common denominators, and we can do it however you want, but I'm gonna multiply out my numerators first, okay? So I've got f of x is equal to, if I do x minus 2 times x minus 2 times x plus 2, that's going to give me 2 times x squared minus 4 over x minus 2, x plus 2. Here, I'm going to multiply out my x, so I've got x squared minus 2x. Here, I've got, let me put this over my common denominator. and then minus 8 over x plus 2 times x minus 2, okay? From there, what I want to do is distribute my 2 here, all right? So let's just get everything straight and simplify it up top. So I've got 2x squared minus 8 plus x squared minus 2x and then minus 8. All right, so once I've got all that stuff, I can put that over my common denominator, which is x minus 2 times x plus 2. Okay, from there, all right, my next step, combine my like terms. I've got 2x squared plus x squared is 3x squared. I've got a minus 2x, and then I've got a minus 16. All right, and all I'm doing, minus 2x didn't have any like terms, negative 8 minus 8, negative 16. From there, I've got x minus 2 times x plus 2. Now the question is looking at your numerator here and going, can I factor this? Okay, and let me see if I can. So this does factor up here. Okay, now what I want to do is rewrite my numerator. All right, so I'm going to write this as f of x is equal to 3x minus 8 times x minus, or x plus 2. Now what's going to happen here is I've got x minus 2 times x plus 2. Now this is really important that we realize that we got to at least have this part here, because this will help us with our restrictions. If I want to simplify this problem, then what's going to happen is my x minus x plus 2 factors are going to divide out. All right, so those are going to divide out, but I'm going to leave them there because we need those. All right, so f of x is equal to 3x minus 8 over x minus 2. This is my simplified answer. Okay, but because we were looking for what are our domain restrictions, we have to think about what we have as our original equation before we start dividing things out. So the restrictions, all right, restrictions are as such, okay? What I want to do is take each part of my denominator, x minus 2, and set that equal to 0, and then take x plus 2 and set that equal to 0. From here, I add 2 to both sides, so I get that x is equal to 2. Here I subtract 2 from both sides, and I get x is equal to negative 2, okay? So the restrictions are these values, 2 and negative 2. So what I want to say here when I talk about my restrictions is that x cannot equal 2 or negative 2, all right? These are the values that are going to make my domain or make my function undefined, all right? So I can plug in any other x value into this function and it'll generate a y value, but I can't plug into a negative 2. All right, so I hope that this all makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. Yeah, so please, let me know if it doesn't make sense. Thanks. Bye.